Hi guys, it's Amber from Amber Eats Books, and I'm here today to do the Monster Mash book tag. I was kindly tagged by Liz from Mountain City Books. I will leave both her channel and the original creators, which was the restricted section, down below. So let's get started. Question number 1, and no, I'm not gonna sing. I was working in the lab late one night. What's a book that kept you up at night? Well, I was probably 13 or 14 when I read this book for the first time, and it just creeped me out. I don't even know exactly what it was about it that bothered me so much, but I could not get through it. I have read it since then, and I'm perfectly fine with it now, but at that time, I couldn't get through Thinner by Stephen King, writing as Richard Bachman. I just couldn't get through it. I don't know what it was. Like I said, now I'm fine with it. Freaked me out at the time. Question number 2. My eyes beheld an eerie sight. What is the weirdest or creepiest shit you've ever read in a book? Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. There is some imagery in here that was so, I guess, well written that it creeped me out and disgusted me so much that I had to put the book down. I could not read it before bed. This could almost probably have qualified for question number 1 because it kept me up at night because I was just thinking of this image, and even now thinking of it, I'm completely grossed out. So yeah, this would definitely be the book with the weirdest and creepiest stuff in it. Question number 3. Get a jolt from my electrodes. Name a book that completely shocked or surprised you. Well, I'm going to be talking about The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. If you have not read it, please move ahead to the next question because I am going to give a little bit of a spoiler. I went into this book thinking that it was set in sort of like medieval times. We're talking about queens and kings and royalty and politics, you know, royal politics. And so I went into thinking it was kind of like a medieval timed thing. And they were talking about not having a lot of books. Books were kind of a rarity. So I'm thinking, oh, you know, this is way back, whatever. I don't know. I had the idea that this was like medieval times. So I go into it, I'm reading it, and then all of a sudden it talks about the Queen's library. And in her library, she has a set of 7 books about someone named Harry Potter. So as I'm in the middle of reading this, all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what? What? So it completely turned what I thought on its head, and this is actually more like a post-apocalyptic type book. I've read that book and I've read the sequel. I don't know exactly everything that, you know, transpired to get them back around to not having books and things. I'm sure that will be solved in the 3rd book, which I have not read yet. But it completely shocked me because I went into the book thinking it was one thing, and then it completely was something else, and it was just something that I was not prepared for. Normally, things don't really shock me, and it's hard to really, I'm like one of those people that kind of like predict the endings before they happen, and I couldn't even predict that. That was crazy. So definitely a book that shocked me. Question number 4. The guests include Wolfman Dracula and his son. Name your favorite monster or villain from a book. Now, I am a villains person. I absolutely adore villains. I love getting into their psyche. So I have many that I probably could have chosen for this question. But the one that has stayed with me throughout the years, and I read this pretty early on in my reading career as far as like horror novels go, and that was Annie Wilkes from Misery. She is just completely frightening to me because she seems so realistic. Other characters or monsters or whatever just don't seem so realistic to me. This seems like it could happen. It could happen, and I do not want to be near her or on her bad side when it does. Yeah, so Annie Wilkes just really has stayed with me, and I mean, I find her fascinating in a really odd way. Like, I love reading about her craziness, but I would never want to experience what the other character went through with her in this book. Question number 5. Whatever happened to my Transylvania twist? Name a book that was super hyped when it came out, but no one talks about it anymore. Now, I'm not one that really pays attention to the hype of a book or not, especially before BookTube. I had no idea. I just, oh, I read that book, a sequel's coming out. Ooh, I'm excited for it. But I didn't know that so many other people, got really super hyped about books until I discovered BookTube. But one book that I saw that did have some hype for it and is no longer discussed, like not even mentioned, was After You by Jojo Moyes. This is the sequel to Me Before You. I was super hyped for this book when it came out because I enjoyed Me Before You. But yeah, I don't hear anyone talking about it. I personally don't talk about it. The only reason why I still have a copy is because it goes with Me Before You. But other than that, I mean, it's almost like this book never existed. Question number 6. They did the mash. Name your favorite book that is a mashup of 2 or more genres. Now, this is a mashup between romance with horror elements sort of mixed in, and that is Lacey's Story by Stephen King. This is his stab at romance, or at least that's how it was marketed. And when I read it, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be like a real romance type book. And there's definitely romance as far as like a love story. There is a very wonderful love story in it. However, there is still supernatural and horror type elements because it is a King novel. So they were still mixed in there, and I just find it a very beautiful story. So I really enjoyed it. Number 7, it was a graveyard smash. What is your favorite horror novel? Now, asking me to pick my favorite horror novel is like asking me to pick my favorite child. I could probably do it, but I don't want to. I don't want to pick a favorite. But one that I'm currently reading that I forgot how good it was, and it's really like my favorite at the moment, is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This is just a fantastic book, and the horror in it is so subtle. It's not like in your face type horror writing. It's subtle, and he just grabs you. He grabs you with his writing because he makes you feel safe for a while, and then he turns things on their head. So definitely my favorite horror novel of the moment. Question number 8. The scene was rockin'. All were digging the sounds. What's your favorite song based on a book? Now, I had no idea how to answer this question, so I just kind of looked up things online, songs based on books. And one song that kind of stood out to me was It's All Coming Back to Me Now by Celine Dion. I had this CD when I was a teenager, and I loved it. Celine Dion was like it for me when I was a teenager because Titanic had come out, and My Heart Will Go On was my song. It was like my favorite song at that time. So then I bought her CD, and this was one of the songs that was on it, and I absolutely loved the song. And I did not know that the lyrics were actually inspired by Wuthering Heights. So I thought that was really interesting. So I'm going to pick that song as my favorite song based on a book. Question number 9. Tell them Boris sent you. What is your go-to book recommendation? Now, if you've watched this channel for the last couple of months, you'll probably know I'll either recommend one of 2 to 3 books. But I'm going with The Diviners by Libba Bray. I have talked this book up so much. It was my favorite book of the year, I think. I mean, I really love this book. So I'm going with this, but I could probably also recommend a number of Stephen King books, actually, and the Dark Tower series if you're into fantasy, post-apocalyptic type stuff. So yeah, but for this question, I think I'm picking The Diviners because I think this will have the most mass appeal. Love this book. Question number 10. For you, the living this mash was meant to. Who do you tag? I just tag anyone who wants to still do this tag. I'm probably going to be pretty late putting this up. I might be putting this up right on Halloween or the day or 2 before Halloween. So I'm just going to tag anyone else who still wants to do it. I'm not really going to tag anyone specifically. And finally, question number 11. Bonus question, what is your favorite thing about Halloween? Now, I am not a big Halloween person. I like fall, I love fall decorations, but as far as actual Halloween stuff, I'm just not that into it. I mean, I like it, but I'm not in love with it. Christmas is my holiday. Christmas, I'm all about Christmas. Don't even get me started. But I would have to say my favorite thing about Halloween is when we do go out trick-or-treating with the kids and we get to see all the other kids too that are dressed up in their costumes. Just the creativity that goes into some of the costumes and how cute and tiny some of the kids are in these costumes. Oh my gosh, just totally makes my day. So that would have to be my favorite thing about Halloween. So that wraps up this tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. What's your favorite thing about Halloween? What's your favorite horror book or spooky book? Let me know down in the comments. I hope you guys have a great week and happy reading.